Folks, the gloves are off as the Trump administration implodes into a catfight. It seems like Elon putting his Musk all over the federal government is finally pissing off cabinet members enough to have full-on screaming matches with him. A fiery argument between Musk and Rubio during a meeting behind closed doors just leaked, and it seems like Marco finally got out of that slump he was in. If you're liking the video, do me a favor and like the video, and double check that you're subscribed. Let me give you a little context behind this argument because it's been brewing for a while. It's not just Marco Rubio who has a problem with Elon Musk making cuts wherever he sees fit. It seems we have a classic case of too many cooks in the kitchen, except in this case it's the Breaking Bad kind of cooks. This all happened after Musk made the unilateral decision to fire people in the FBI and the ODNI, as well as people at the State Department. Now when Musk makes the decision to fire foreign aid workers or national park rangers, there's not as much pushback. But when he starts firing people who are important to our national intelligence community, well, that triggered the first of what turned out to be a series of MAGA meltdowns. Trump loyalists pushed back against Elon Musk's influence. Tulsi Gabbard and Kash Patel urged department staff to ignore DOGE jobs justification order. This is in relation to Musk sending that stupid name 5 things you did last week email to like 3 million employees. Tulsi, Patel, Rubio, they all told him to punch sand. And if there's one thing that a spoiled rich brat hates more than anything, it's being told no. And of course, what does the rich loser do when the cabinet members he paid for aren't doing what he wants? Well, he complains to the man he paid $350 million to. And when he was asked about this initial back and forth, Trump said this.
Go ahead, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Mr. Musk. I just wanted to ask you, the President Trump put out a Truth Social today saying that everybody in the cabinet was happy with you. I just wondered if you had heard otherwise, and if you had heard anything about members of the cabinet who weren't happy with the way things were going, and if so, what are you doing to address those any dissatisfaction?
And let the cabinet speak just for a second.
Yeah, exactly.
Is anybody unhappy with Elon? If you are, well, throw them out of here. Is anybody unhappy? They have a lot of respect for Elon.
Notice how Marco only gives one weak little clap. Interesting. Foreshadowing, perhaps? Well, it didn't take long for us to figure out why Rubio wasn't too happy with Elon. Back when Elon initially gutted US aid, Marco Rubio was appointed to be the head of the agency, at which point he stepped in and decided that some funds that were previously frozen should go through. Well, Elon didn't like that, and he's the one who writes the checks. When Secretary of State Marco Rubio approved foreign aid programs he deemed critical to American interests, 2 DOGE employees canceled the spending instead. The Washington Post reported that those DOGE employees have access to the payment system and manually blocked the funding, including money for Ukraine and HIV treatment programs. Funny that Musk wants to stop money going to Ukraine. It seems like he too has a vested interest in Russia's oligarchy. But it wasn't just funds at US aid that Elon was trying to cancel. He was also seemingly trying to fire hundreds of employees at the State Department, and Marco Rubio wasn't going to stand for it. The Times just released what happened during this explosive meeting where Trump officials clashed with Elon Musk. Unfortunately, there's no video of this event, but here's what the Times reports happened. Marco Rubio was incensed. Here he was, in the cabinet room of the White House, the Secretary of State, seated behind the president and listening to a litany of attacks from the richest man in the world. Seated diagonally opposite, across the elliptical mahogany table, Elon Musk was letting Marco Rubio have it, accusing him of failing to slash his staff. You have fired, quote, nobody. Mr. Musk told Mr. Rubio, then scornfully added that perhaps the only person he had fired was a staff member from Mr. Musk's DOGE. That's absolutely ridiculous. Here you have a random bureaucrat, an advisor to the president, berating the Secretary of State because he didn't fire the people that the unelected billionaire thinks that he should have. And on top of that, it's hilarious to find out that Rubio not only denied firing his employees, but fired one of the DOGE guys that had been sent by Musk. It's so clear now that they don't want these cracks to be shown to the public. Elon clearly expects these people to bend over backwards to him because he gave Daddy Trump a bunch of money. Mr. Musk had not been truthful, Mr. Rubio said. Uh-oh. What about the more than 1,500 State Department officials who took early retirement in buyouts? Didn't they count as layoffs? Good question. He asked sarcastically whether Mr. Musk wanted him to rehire all those people just so that he can make a show of firing them again. I never thought I'd be rooting for Marco Rubio in a fight. Then he laid out his detailed plans for reorganizing the State Department. Mr. Musk was unimpressed. Oh my god, this is so catty. He told Mr. Rubio he was good on TV, with a clear subtext being that he was not good for much else. Throughout all of this, the president sat back in his armchair, arms folded as if he were watching a tennis match. Two lords battling for the attention of the king. After the argument dragged on for an uncomfortable time, Mr. Trump finally intervened to defend Mr. Rubio as doing a great job. It seems like Rubio won this joust, and Elon, the master of whispers, was sent back to the slimy corner he came from. The president made it clear he still supported the mission of Musk's initiative, but now was the time, he said, to be a bit more refined in its approach. From now on, he said, the secretaries would be in charge. The Musk team would only advise. It seems like somebody from legal finally got in Trump's ear and told him that what Elon is doing at DOGE is blatantly illegal. That's why Elon and Trump have been making a sudden pivot to tell all the Republicans that he isn't the one doing all of the mass firings, because it's a bit confusing when Trump keeps saying this.
We want them to keep the good people. And so we're going to be watching them, and Elon and the group are going to be watching them. And if they can cut, it's better. And if they don't cut, then Elon will do the cutting.
That's weird, because why is he turning around and saying that Musk can't fire employees? Well, as the end of this timeline points out, that the legal debate over Musk's role in the White House ramped up after Trump declared in his address to the joint session of Congress that DOGE is headed by Musk, prompting plaintiffs in lawsuits against DOGE to file court briefs, citing Trump's comments as evidence that Musk is connected to DOGE's actions and thus should be held liable. There's nothing that the cheats and the frauds hate more than due process. That's why when Trump was asked why the girls were fighting, he got physically upset and seemed to threaten the reporter.
Mr. President, since you last spoke about it yesterday, some details have come out about your cabinet meeting with Elon Musk and some clashes potentially between Secretary Rubio and Secretary
No
Duffy.
clash. I was there. You're just a troublemaker. And you're not supposed to be asking that question because we're talking about the World Cup.
But
Elon gets along great with Marco, and they're both doing a fantastic job. There is no clash.
But Mr. President, bottom line,
Who are you with?
NBC.
No wonder. That's
Mr. President,
NBC.
who has more authority, Elon Musk or your cabinet secretary?
Any other questions?
And they're both great guys. And by the way, they both get along fantastically well. Marco has done unbelievably as Secretary of State, and Elon is a very unique guy who's done a fantastic job.
Do you think he needs to be reined in, Mr.
enough.
President?
Enough. It's FIFA.
That who you with question hits really different when the White House is choosing which reporters are in the room now. His reaction here is the biggest proof we need that this clash was very much real. Who knows, it might be a cabinet member who finally gives Elon Musk the old et tu, Brute? I'm Tony Hinderman with Really American, and I'll catch you next time.